Hi, Glenn.
Hello, how are you today?
Good. Just testing to make sure you can hear us.
Yep, and I'm not muted, right? You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Linelda.
Thank you.
Okay, can we get started, please? It's 1:30. We'll call the meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Shoemaker. Commissioner Gossett Seidman.
Here.
Commissioner David.
Present.
Vice Mayor Bobby is absent. Mayor Hillman.
Here?
Town Attorney Torcivia.
Here.
And Town Manager Labadie.
Present.
Thank you.
And can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? No, can I have a motion to approve it as stated?
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, just say aye.
Aye.
There are no presentations or proclamations, so we will move on. Linelda, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments for today's meeting.
Okay, so we will close the public comment section. There are board vacancies. Board of Adjustments and Appeals, there are 2 vacancies. Financial Advisory Board, there is 1 vacancy and 3 upcoming reappointments. Natural Resources and Preservation Advisory Board, there's 1 upcoming vacancy and 4 upcoming reappointments. And the Planning Board, 1 vacancy and 1 upcoming appointments. There are a series of meetings. They're on the schedule. They're for you to peruse at your convenience. There are no board action reports. So let's move on to the ordinance. That is, summary is on page 7. The ordinance itself is on page 9. It is ordinance number 2021-003. Modifies the construction work hours. It's an ordinance of the town of Highland Beach, Florida, amending chapter 12, construction sites of the town code of ordinances to modify the permitted construction hours and adopt new regulations for construction activities on Saturdays, providing for the repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability and codification, and providing for an effective date. The first reading was January 5th, 2021. We would normally open this for public comments, but there are none. So it's opened and closed. Why don't we start with John? Do you have any questions, comments, or anything on the ordinance?
Just in the paragraph 12-6A, it says the construction, including excavation, demolition, alteration, or repair of any building is prohibited weekdays, 8 to 6, on Saturdays, 9 to 3, and on Sundays. We're saying it is, I guess it's not clear to me. Does that mean that it's prohibited during the week on Saturdays, 9 to 3, and on Sunday all day?
Yeah.
Allowable Saturday night.
What's that?
It's okay on Saturday.
Well, yeah, this is, I had to read this twice. It's prohibited before 9 and after 3,
Okay.
and then
Oh,
prohibited
yeah.
on. Okay.
I
It's kind of in reverse.
yeah. Okay. That was
Okay.
my fault.
Yep. Anything else, John?
No, that's it.
Evelyn?
No, I'm ready to vote on this.
Okay. Move it over to Peggy.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First of all, page 4, there's an error. It has me voting yes and seconding the motion. I did
Yes,
not.
Yes, that is an error. I
Well,
noticed that.
You got that? Okay, I
Thank you.
missed
Well,
that.
Yep.
We'll make
And-
the correction on that.
That's incorrect.
Thank you. And then 3 questions of procedure. In the first note, under the construction site restriction,
Where are you, Peg?
sure, yes, sir. Middle of page 7, it's on just the description, or it's a repeat of the actual ordinance. But the noise disturbance across the property line, who judges this? And I wonder what criteria we are going to use, because a basketball bouncing in a driveway or at, a moving of a garbage can might annoy some people, but might not annoy others. This is very vague and unclear and gives us no criteria for judging. If you have an elderly person who may be next to the site, maybe perhaps not able to sleep at night, it's a lot harder to judge their being disturbed other than someone with 5 kids and 3 dogs who gets a lot of noise anyway. Just trying to draw a parallel. How do we leave it to Mr. Remus and Mr. Manco to determine what level of noise is acceptable or not?
Well, they use the term reasonable. And that's really unless you're going to go in there with decimals, which I don't think you want to try that.
Yeah,
That's really the only thing you can say is that it must be reasonable, which means it can't be individual who, because they are particularly concerned about any noise, obviously anything that rises to the level of a basketball or kids playing jump rope or something on the driveway should not be considered unreasonable. But if there are kids jumping on the sidewalk, jump rope on the driveway at 10 o'clock at night, maybe that is unreasonable.
I'm just wondering if Mr. Remus is left to judge and Mr. Manco to judge this, or we're just leaving it in his hands and just seeing how it goes. I'm just wondering the procedure there.
He's right here.
Yes,
Let him
great.
take a shot at it.
And it does include wording unreasonable, right? I mean, it's a judgment call.
Right, that's what I'm asking. Who makes the judgment and on what criteria?
I'm sorry, Mr. Reed.
Good afternoon, Commission, Mayor. So this does leave some subjectivity in place. And I think what we have to look at is the difference between existing noise and the increase in noise. And what I actually had a discussion with Mr. Manco about this today. And I said, if you can hear something that appears to be unreasonable, and again, that's subjective, while you're on the complainant's property, on the property line, then that may be reason enough to, number one, ask them to be quieter. And if they can't, well, then we just move on. As one of the other commissioners mentioned, we could eventually, if you feel as though this is not working with our subjectivity in there, we can then maybe attempt to do like some other places have and make an amendment to just add a decibel level, and we'll just have to purchase decibel meters for the police and ourselves here, which are relatively low cost. And we would be looking at the increase between someone being still and not making any noise inside a construction site and the noise when they are actually working. We're looking at that difference. More than anything, you can't just come up with a regular number, in my opinion, because the ambient noise around you may be different. And there may be some other situations where the person on the other side has a landscaper present and they have leaf blowers going and a truck is outside idling and maybe a neighbor's having a party. It's very difficult to judge at that point. So I think we have to look at a difference between ambient and what they feel is the increase because of the construction. But honestly, before we get involved with things, I think it's okay on my part, if it's okay with you, that we inject the human element to kind of help decide, and make a determination whether or not something is reasonable. And that's just my opinion.
Okay, and another question, if I could, from Mr. Remus. Thank you, Jeff. By the same token, on the middle of page 11, where we have discussed, as we discussed in our last meeting, a hardship waiver. The term hardship was dropped from the original discussion, and it is referenced as just a waiver, but we had discussed a hardship waiver. And then again, I'm wondering, how do we reach that criteria? I mean, just not being able to round up enough guys on Friday doesn't constitute a hardship to come back and work on Saturday. Whereas, a pipe that needs to be finished fitted may need to be completed on a Saturday. I'm trying to show the difference between a hardship and not, but we've just written this now as a waiver without the word hardship. So I'm wondering how that got lost in the shuffle. And then secondly, part 2 of the question, how do we determine the terms of a waiver?
The question is posed to me, but that question is really that because this responsibility is pushed back to the town commission, because the application will be made to the town clerk 2 weeks in advance or 14 days prior to the town meeting, and they will ask for that in advance to the town commission. So that's something that the town commission is going to have to use their knowledge, experience, and expertise to make that decision. That's not something that's going to come from the building department. That's not the way it's written that I see.
Yeah, the way I read this, it's not a given that you will get your waiver. You're
Correct.
making an application and you're presenting reasons why you need it. And it's just an application at this point. And yeah, I think it's right. I
Understand.
think the commission can listen, and we'll have 5 of us. We can make up our mind if it's a reasonable request or not. Situation to situation. We can't put in something that will cover everything. So we kind of have to leave it a little bit open.
Sure, understood. Great, thank you.
Also, if we put hardship in,
Mhm.
then we're limiting ourselves to hardship only.
But that's what we originally discussed, it being a hardship. Otherwise, why would we even limit?
I don't know, but I don't
Just
know all the
throwing it out for
circumstances under
discussion.
which someone would want or need it.
Mhm.
But if we put it in, then we can only do it if it's a hardship.
Right.
I
Okay,
think we
Marshall had
want
his
some
hand up.
flexibility.
And I understand,
Yeah,
I just, the
the
word got
hardship-
lost.
Yeah, the hardship piece, if you will, would be the urgent necessity component. So if there is something that has to be done for life or safety issues
That's
or an
an
unforeseen
emergency.
circumstance, Remus and I still have that capability for an urgent necessity.
Of course.
For anything that isn't like, it needs to be fixed now, then they go through this process, which will take some time because we're got to send out notices 14 days. So this is a planned activity. So they can't come to you and say, oh my God, if I don't get this done right now, the building's going to fall down.
Mhm.
We've already got that flexibility. This is for just general project planning requests or something changes that they would come to you. It's not a hardship or a urgent necessity, if you will. Probably a better word is urgent necessity. We have that flexibility.
Okay.
Understood.
Anything else, Peg?
I think that's it right now, thank you.
So
Okay.
comment again, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, of course.
So again, I would like to think that we have common sense and can consider judgment calls with all due reasonability and not have to turn these into 3 pages to identify what a hardship is and that sort of thing. So I think it's appropriate that we not go into defining what a good judgment call is or what a hardship is, and gives us the flexibility. So I don't see
I
this to
concur.
be a problem at all.
Agreed.
Well, among other things, you're right. If you put it in, you're limiting yourself.
Don't want that.
And you don't have to. If we find that a situation comes up that we hadn't anticipated, that we really don't want to allow somebody to get a waiver for, we can then add that
Okay, sure.
so that it
that's true.
doesn't happen after that.
Yes, we can
Right. But
modify the
but-
ordinance.
Sure, but you don't want to limit yourself up front.
Yes, ma'am, understood. Just wanted to throw that out for discussion since it was part of the previous one. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? Okay. Call for a motion on it then.
I move that we pass ordinance number 2021-003
As written,
as written.
seconded.
Okay. You need a roll call on this, please?
Commissioner David,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker,
Yes.
Commissioner Gossick Sideman,
No.
Mayor Hillman.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-1.
Okay, we move on to consent agenda. There is none. Unfinished business is a discussion on the Take Pride in Our Beach Education Initiative. That has to, I'm sorry. Oh, was I missing something? No, okay. This is the banner that was requested by our Natural Resources and Preservation Advisory Board. And we have it to show. You have a small copy, a small rendering of it. We went to Rodrigo, who has continued to volunteer his time on our behalf. Can we put the two of them up on the screen, please? Show them in full. There we go. I'm going to diminish that. Okay. You see the clean beach equals healthy beach. I just pulled that off of the documentation that was given to us. I missed the other one that apparently was in the copy on the piece that was provided. So we have two different logos that we can pull from, or expressions that we can pull from. I obviously like clean beach is a healthy beach equals a healthy beach, but that doesn't mean that's the right one. We need to discuss it. So, and you can see up in the right-hand corner there is our seal. That seal can be placed on both, so that's not an issue. So basically, it's just two different designs. All of the designs utilize our colors, of course, and they can be done in decals. The decals can be put onto the buckets. They can be put onto our garbage cans. If we repaint garbage cans, we can repaint them in these colors. And this would be the color scheme that runs throughout the entire campaign. Can we pull up the second one, please? The basic difference in the two, obviously, is the second one just doesn't have the background color. It just runs it all the way across. You have copies in the package as well. There we go. And I just, entertain a discussion on which do we like best? Do we not like either of them? Do we hate them? Do we love them? What do we think? Shoot. Johnny?
So I like the first one better with the extra color and our logo in the top right. That might make it a little more complicated, but I think that adds to it. If I were to make, just trying to come up with something that would add value, clean beach equals healthy beach is excellent. If you wanted to make it even shorter, you could say clean beach equals paradise.
That's not shorter, John.
Well, clean beach, you
Oh,
drop
just
one word.
Equal paradise. I got it.
Equals paradise, and paradise would be under, our logo there with the sun and palm trees. It's just as an option to consider if you wanted to make it even a shorter phrase. But I think clearly from the guidance that the mayor had talked about in terms of having a logo that is simple, that is effective, that communicates the message, and does it in an attractive, colorful, attention-getting kind of graphic, I think this is on the right track.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not in love with either one of these, but I don't have a particular objection to them either. If I had to pick, I would choose number one because I think it grabs your attention more. I think the solid background, it fades when you want people to see it, and I don't think they will see that as well as this one. I'm also not crazy about clean beach equals healthy beach, but I have no suggestions what else to do, so I would be okay with that either. Yeah, whatever.
Okay, the other one was take pride in our beach. I would suggest if we went in that direction, it should be take pride in your beach. But whatever. Moving on to you, Peg.
Thank you. I like the first one, especially for a banner, because it does provide this outline of this sunset orange color.
This is the first one, is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct? Okay.
On a banner, I think that would be a better look. I think on a small piece, such as if we ended up doing stickers or anything, the first one would be fine. But you're looking at a banner. How long is that, Marshall? 30, 40 feet? Not even that long? I don't remember.
Sorry, the ones I think we do are about 10 feet
Oh,
at most,
10.
8 to 10 feet in length. But still, that's pretty big when you see it out there. I mean, that's a big banner.
All right, nonetheless, I think the first one fits better. I'm fine with either slogan. The first one is a direct correlation to the pictures above it, which is sort of a nice flow. Clean beach and then healthy beach on the other side with our logo. And Rodrigo should be issued a citation of thanks for his time and his
Absolutely.
expertise.
Yeah,
I mean, these are really very professional.
He's put a lot of time.
So we
in for
really
us
need to
over the
Buy him a
years.
cup of coffee or something.
Okay, so it looks
Thank
like
you.
our preference is this one. Our preference is this slogan, but I mean, do we want to make the decision? Do we want to give it to them to make the decision? Them meaning the board?
Is this their final recommendation? I
This
thought it
is
was
our
just-
record. They came to us, we said, we will design it, which we have.
So I personally would like to have it go back to them to work on it. The expression clean beach and then the equal sign healthy beach, maybe there's something rather than just in a rectangular box could be done there. Again, clean beach, equal sign, paradise is an option. The other one, based on, the idea or what you had
So
mentioned,
these
Mayor.
are the two choices.
What I'm saying, is there a chance to add in something like clean with a dot, healthy with a dot, and pride?
No.
No, it's just going to be one or the other. I
Yeah.
see. All right.
Mr. Mayor, I believe they meet tomorrow, don't they?
Yes.
Is this something we could give them to
Yeah.
review tomorrow and then
Yeah,
we don't
exactly.
hold up time?
My,
Great.
my question is, what direction do we now
sure.
want to give them?
I'm fine giving it back to them if you'd like to, and knowing that that is our suggestion, and then because they've done a great job and they're a very diligent group of people, I'm fine giving it back and they can review tomorrow and make it a final.
So we're saying we're going to let them decide. It's either we make the decision.
Oh, I see
or
what you're
they make
saying.
the decision.
But then what would be the point of giving it back if we make the decision? We don't need to give it back if we're going to decide it ultimately.
Yeah, we can say, for example, we can say, this is the one, here is your creative, go to work. Or we can say, here are the two creatives, we prefer the first one, but it's your program, you decide amongst the two. And we can say, we prefer clean beach equals healthy beach, but if you prefer take pride in our beach or take pride in your beach, it's up to you, it's your program, you decide. Now, do we want to decide or do we want to give them choices? If we want to give them choices, what choices do we want to give them?
Could we ask Marshall to weigh in? He's our
Sure.
point man here.
Go back over time with conversations between the commission and advisory boards. I would probably refer it to the latter, saying we like this option, but we're open for small adjustments if you think those hold better for you as a group. So we like one, not two. We like clean your healthy beach, but we're open if you like take pride in our beach. Kind of leave it that way where you're a little more guidance than just keeping it open. So from what I've heard in the
Okay.
past, to give them a little bit more direction, and you're still giving them some flexibility on the slogan, because that's what staff found, like what slogan, there seems to be some conflict in that. So maybe that's where they take their piece of it next,
Okay, are we comfortable with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think
so
that's great.
Let's be very specific then.
Yeah.
What we're giving back to them for tomorrow is, our recommendation is the first one with that slogan. However, if they prefer the second one, that's okay. If they prefer take pride in our beach, that's okay. I would personally recommend if they prefer take pride in our beach, they change our to your. Do we agree with that?
Agreed.
Take pride in your beach as opposed to take pride in our beach.
I like our because it's all within our town, but I'm not going to quibble
Okay.
over a word or a letter. It's okay either way.
The rationale for your is it's possessive, then now it's your beach, you take
Oh,
pride in it.
that's true. And responsibility.
Yeah.
There you go.
It
I'm fine
transfers
either
the
way.
responsibility.
Yes, sir. That's a
Okay,
very good psychological.
okay,
Add on.
you have that, Marshall? Okay, done with that one. Thank you all. New business approval of commission meeting minutes from December 15th. They are attached, they're on page 17. Does anybody have any comments to make on that? If you do, just speak up. None? Okay, can I have a motion to accept them as they're stated?
I move that we accept the minutes from the December 15th, 2020 commission meeting as presented.
Second? I'll second it.
Seconded.
Oh, John got it. Okay, all in favor, just say aye.
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 Okay, let's move on to commission comments. John, I know you've got much to tell us about military service.
So with the suggestions of the council, we are putting together a master list of email addresses, contact information for those veterans that, let us know that they are here, they're in Highland Beach, whether they are residents or owners, and that we want to bring recognition to them as best we can going forward. And as I have done with John Burry, the B-17 navigator during World War II, wrote up a short article with his pictures, and that was the first. The second one has really involved a surprise. Father Horgan, that at St. Lucie Church, is a veteran, and I detailed it in an article that I've written here. And I understand will be going out in the town manager's minutes on the next one going out. And that, I don't think, would you want me to read it here? So I think that it is a really remarkable story. And what's particularly gratifying is that we have been getting a lot of good feedback based on the information requests that we sent out with the newsletters and the commissioner's letter. We're over 25 veterans identified so far. And I've already conducted another interview last week, and I'm going to be doing still one after that with veterans who have written books about their experiences, and not insignificant experiences. They're just incredible. Father Horgan was in both Iraq and Afghanistan. He is a Renaissance man. When you read the article, you'll understand his education is incredible. And the experiences he had during the wars is just remarkable, and what he offers for the town of Highland Beach. And the fact that he views himself as a man of service who wants to support the town. So we have a great, what I call a jewel of the town. And I've since gone on, and you'll be hearing more about other stories that are just staggering. Whether they be a company commander of infantry during the Tet Offensive in Vietnam, and the biggest battles of the war. And having been there myself, I can tell you, there's no way I saw that level of battle where you have thousands of soldiers on both sides in that kind of a death fight. And then beyond that, I intend on interviewing, having spoken with another veteran who landed at Utah Beach, Normandy, and actually was at Bastogne. And during the great battles there, he was caught made a prisoner of war by the Germans, escaped 3 times, was shot in his foot. Again, I don't want to tell the whole story. I'm going to be writing it up. It is amazing. So I'm going to continue to ask, and I'm appealing to those who might be watching today. If you are a veteran or you know of a veteran, active or retired, please let us know through Lenelda, the town clerk, through me directly. You can go to our website. We're working on having a section of our website for veterans that we're going to post these articles and that will collect over time. And again, our website, highlandbeach.us. Very simple, very easy to remember, highlandbeach.us, which, by the way, is a tremendous resource for all residents, and I highly recommend it beyond the veterans, what we're doing here, but just as a resource for everything from what's happening in the town, vaccinations, the whole thing with COVID, our ordinances, the agendas, the activities, the library. I could go on and on. It is fabulous. So that's the update on veterans. And the article is When Divinity Meets War. And I hope you all enjoy that. Separately from that, a couple other comments. I received the postcard in the mail, which I think is very good. Also highlights the website. And you have the codes. And I think that we need to continue to do that because I am learning that people don't know we have a website. It's incredible that we have residents who don't know that we're even on TV. I keep saying, you know, first and third Tuesday of the month, channel 99, please use the TV. And if you go to the website, you can go back and see any of the town meetings that's recorded and videotaped and as a resource is available. So again, there's so much value there. So that covers postcard veterans. One last point. Email addresses. At least one citizen has communicated to others that, oh, you don't want to give email address to the town because they'll be made public. And then you'll have people harassing you and all that sort of thing. That is absolutely, technically it might be true for some, but it's not happened. We don't make it a practice to give out email addresses to anybody except on request. We've only had, I believe, 2 requests in the last 15, 20 years. So in a world today on the internet, they know your email address if you have one. Okay, so I don't see any danger there. We're going to protect it. And Lenelda, did you want to comment further on this subject?
The state of Florida have a public records law, and there are exemptions within the law that require us to exempt certain information from public disclosure. So we do go by the state of Florida, a public records law when it comes to providing records.
And Lenelda, being our town clerk, Lenelda Gaskins, is our guardian of our data. And that includes emails. And certainly my intention is to protect it and at the same time collect it so that we can bring the kind of recognition for veterans or for email addresses, period, as they might be used to communicate with the town. So that's our commitment. You are protected. Don't be led astray by, you know, a little exaggeration here and there. Okay. Any questions?
Move it on to Evelyn.
After John, I'm not saying anything.
Becky, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Just an update on the appropriations.
Yeah.
Thanks to Lenelda and Teresa and Marshall, due to my computer malfunction, we were able to get in a revised, updated appropriations request and confirmed it was received and sent on to Tallahassee.
Great.
And so we will be looking at completing and upgrading further the lighting for the crosswalks, and then swale repairs. And additionally, our state representative will be looking at a dialogue going forward directly with FDOT on that, aside from the appropriations he is committed. And then lastly, when the DeSantis budget, skeletal budget came out last week, it was amazingly better than we had expected in terms of our municipal leaders and the League of Cities, because there has been quite a bit of federal funding provided to the state of Florida for many infrastructure programs, as well as, of course, the number one priority being COVID and response, first responders. Therefore, I'm just, hoping and praying that our chances will be even better increased, in addition to the fact we asked last year, and in addition to the fact we've never asked or received an appropriation in 71 years. So we feel it's our time.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you posted. But
Great.
thanks to the staff, because they were able to assist with my computer down. Appreciate everyone.
Thank you. I got our fingers crossed. Couple of things. One, I participate in this mayor's Zoom biweekly, and we had it with the health department. Obviously, the conversation was all about vaccine or lack thereof. And clearly, the vast majority of the vaccines that the county is receiving is going through Publix now. Those people that are able to get appointments at Publix have been very pleased with the way Publix has handled them. Appointments have been on time. They've been getting in and out very quickly, like within 15 minutes. Clearly, the problem is just insufficient quantities of vaccine. That's basically the problem. And the problem is the Publix website. You're lucky if you can get the hit, that's all. The wait doesn't seem to be within a queue. It just seems to be helter-skelter. So anybody out there that hasn't been able to get the appointment for Publix, I think it's again tomorrow morning. Is that right, John? 6 a.m. So, get on it again and just follow the queue, and good luck. The quantities that we have been receiving here in the county, I don't know how the state determines what quantity each county receives. I can tell you that Broward is receiving far more than we are, and the Broward population is only a third more than ours. We've got a population of, round numbers, 1.5 million. Broward is about 2 million. And I know they're receiving significantly more vaccine than we are. I just saw an announcement that we are getting more than the roughly 4,000 that we've been getting each week, which is terrific. Obviously, during the discussion with the health department, we talked about the great success we had with our point of distribution here in Highland Beach, as well as in Delray, and also, of course, in Boca, and pitched them as strongly as we could about supplying us with more vaccine so we can repeat that. And there is a commitment to give us a vaccine, but not until they have more quantity. So we're in that queue, but there was no commitment in terms of, well, if we can get 10,000, we'll give you some, but they are aware of the success we had. They are sympathetic to the fact that if we can service people right here in our towns, it's far better for those residents. So we will get some more down the road, just don't know when. The other thing that I brought up, only because I was made aware of it by one of our residents, and that is there is a segment of our population that is homebound. So even if there was a significant supply of vaccine available, they can't go to get the injection. So we were told that there is a list that they have at the health department in the county of homebound individuals. So we talked about, well, how can we get a hold of that list, make sure that the people that we're aware of are on that list, and more importantly, okay, if we have the list, how can we get the injections to the homebound individuals? And we realized that the best way to do it is through the fire department. So we're starting to work on a program now to be able to marry the fire department with the list, do it on a local level, and get the fire department to be able to go to the individual's home when there is sufficient product available. Don't want to get into the whole debate as to why these people need to wait for sufficient product. If there is product, they should be in the queue. But that's the next discussion, okay? But at least we're working on that, and we'll make sure that these homebound individuals are taken care of. Lastly, there is also a segment of the population that either doesn't have internet or has internet but just are not fast enough on it to be able to get into the public's queue and get the public's appointments. So at Vice Mayor Weinroth's office, they have established a phone number for these individuals to be able to call, and they will be assisted. And we'll get that phone number up on our website. So anybody listening out there, we'll get that phone number set up on our website for you. You'll be able to call if you're not able to, if you don't have the internet, or if you're not able to just function fast enough on it, okay? So those are the 3 things or 4 things I have to report on that. Any questions on that before we move on? No? Okay, next is Glenn. Over to you.
I do not have any, oh, am I still muted?
No, you're okay.
Okay, thank you. No report today, just continue to stay safe. And as the mayor said, we hopefully will be getting some more vaccine.
Okay,
Mayor,
Yeah.
could I add one thing?
sure.
Just, you reminded me when you just finished speaking. On another side, in terms of community service to our citizens in Highland Beach, the church, St. Lucy's Church, is collecting this week through early next week dry foods to distribute to the Pahokee citizens who are the most 7-day a week workers at the farms and the various farmlands and through St. Mary's of Pahokee Church. Therefore, they are accepting at the rectory any foods that any citizen might be able to drop off to be driven out to Pahokee. It's through the Council of Catholic Women, St. Lucy's, which I belonged to for about 10 years. Pardon, sir?
Canned, packaged.
Yes, anything dry, cereals, rice. They prefer rice and beans in terms if you don't know what to buy. And recommended Publix often has BOGO items, buy one, get one free, then that
Sure.
it enhances your buying power. So just thought I'd mention that. Maybe Marshall could put a note out since we're working in concert with the church so very well.
Absolutely.
It would be, I've had residents call me and say, where can I deliver goods? And I've had to send them to the Boca Helping Hands, but St. Lucy's is active with this project this week and next week.
Great.
Thank you.
Marshall, over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just confirm everything you said with the vaccines. Just isn't enough supply. It's really what's Chief and I every week are on a call with the EOC. Some of it is disheartening, but nonetheless, the supply is ramping up. You'll hear everybody has the best information at any minute when it blips through, because it's kind of how quick things change on every couple hours. There could be a new revelation or piece of news. But the county health department, as of last week, didn't get any vaccines. And they're hoping to get it because it's all depends on how you look at it, but Publix is still getting a good solid source of them with that. So we're hoping for more supply. I think we proved, again, as the mayor was saying, we proved that the local points of distribution is truly the best way. And then also for those that are shut-ins or homebound, maybe homebound's the new term. Shut-ins maybe has a negative connotation or something, but I know the county has a mobile vaccine unit. They had a testing unit, so they have a couple of vehicles that move around, and they tend to use those, and they go for the homebound individuals first. So once, if they, like you said, I'll put up Weinroth's phone number to help people, or if you're homebound to call, if you're on that list, and then the county's going to get those individuals first through their mobile units. I don't know the timing and how quickly, as we're seeing, the timing is not as quick as we'd hoped, but they're getting there, and they're working on those.
Marshall, if I can interrupt for a second. The problem with this one woman that contacted us, Tricia and I were trying to help her, is getting to somebody at the county level that is even aware of the list to find out if her husband was even on the list. So that's what I went to Weinroth with, and they're trying to get me the contacts.
I will keep my narrative out. It's a little unfortunate, but that's been encouraged by the county that if you can't do this stuff via email, that you might get missed. So
Yeah, I asked for both. I asked for contact,
Yeah.
phone number, and email.
yeah, so
So
basically,
They're trying to get it.
yeah, Dr. Alonso was saying on the call that there was somebody, the Lantana Library was trying to set something up to help these people because some folks don't even have an email address.
Right.
And basically, she said, if you don't have an email address, you're not going to get on the list. So that puts relatively small a number of people, but they're there. If you don't have an email, you're really in a bad spot here. So hopefully, as you're saying, hopefully they'll fix these hotlines and find a way to start calling and reaching out some of these folks that don't. And that's kind of a little bit disheartening that there isn't an alternative established, but it's kind of what we're working with now. As I informed you all, we should hopefully next week get some draft documentation as it relates to the fire feasibility study. So next week we'll start getting some more. And that should be getting off the ground here and start those conversations up. Water and sewer, I gave you the final report. Again, there's going to be a notice placed in your next billing. So all of our utility billing customers, you'll have an insert that'll kind of go over what the rate structure is, what you can expect. It'll start April 1st. So on June, your April, May bill will reflect the new rates. And then on March 2nd, we will amend our fee resolution to include the new water rates. That means we've satisfied state statute for utility rate adjustments. So we're just moving through that process. Everything is going according to plan. But that's our next steps as it relates to the water and sewer study. Other than that, we're just BSNA, our new financial software system. Teresa in the back, thank you. Eric in the finance department, Matt, did a really good job getting that rolled out and getting that in place. And I'm hearing things that have been exciting. You know, this is easy to use. This is great. How quick and simple we've really moved ahead. It's like a whole new generation of software where
Great.
everything goes in. It's quick. It's easy to use. I'll be able to start giving you guys, variance reports on a bi-weekly. It's going to be great. And the utility billing went in today. Eric's working on that right now. That looks good. But it's what we hoped. We're going live this week. There'll be a couple of hiccups, but it's moving quite well. Its usability and value is seen by everybody. So we're really excited about that.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Anything from anyone else?
Mayor,
Anybody else?
we just tied.
Is there anybody else?
Yes, sir.
wants to
Quick
say
question. Condo boards, would the heads of condos be able to assist with the homebound residents in terms
anything? You're
of?
reading my note.
didn't
Buildings, buildings.
Farsighted, but I didn't read
homebound, right
that
here.
far.
Right on the bottom.
There you go. Because if we could reach out to those,
Exactly.
yes, sir, there you go. If we could reach out to those contacts, I think that, and we've talked about having a meeting of them and all going into COVID.
Yep.
And so I just would hope we could pull those groups together and see if we can.
Yep.
You got it.
I got it. I'm on it.
2 points.
Sure.
First, I'm sure you've talked about it before, but since I'm getting some questions, what's the status on our fire EMS study and what can the town expect for our diligence in going forward and resolving this, since it is considered probably the single biggest project for us this year?
Yeah, it'll be a big discussion. It'll be a very serious discussion, very sobering discussion of what we want to do, but I don't know what the conclusions are. I'm with you a little bit that we've given them a general guidance to say, provide us alternatives, look at the financials. So what we have coming is two pieces. One's the audit. So don't think we're changing, just as we're currently operating and have been operating, is everything being implemented and followed per our contract? And if we've missed or identified things, and if you look at the draft profile, there's some big inconsistencies in numbers. We need to know why and which number really holds true. And then the other side of it is the big picture side of it. Where do we want to go? What options exist? How much do those options cost? How do we get there? And those are some big conversations. I know there are people in the community that wants to cut this relationship off as quickly as possible. But let's not get there yet without seeing really what is the landscape that we're going to be dealing with fire service. It's not as simple as a turnkey operation. So you guys will be tasked with some pretty challenging discussions and evaluation of data to figure out how we want to go and what that numbers look like. And once we get their draft, I'm sure we're going to go around internally first saying, what does this mean? Give us more detail. So when we bring this out to the public for full discussion, which we have to do and which we need to do, it's going to take some time. So I think we're being very deliberate. I'm making sure the consultant lives up to their word. And then we're going to have that discussion amongst ourselves.
So what's the timing? What do you think the timing is? When do you think they will finish to the point where you can review it? And then at what point do you think we can start getting involved?
Well, they're going to give me some draft stuff, which I'll share with you. They said next week. I don't want to say it's going to be Monday,
Yep.
Wednesday, Thursday, but next week, some point, they're going to give us something.
Okay.
We'll review that internally first, checking for typos, mistakes, poor conclusions drawn without any before we throw it out to the public. We want to make sure we're not sharing somebody's working document just yet, but that's where we're going to start. And then after our review, I would think, a couple, 3 weeks, we're about ready to bring it here and say, what do you want to do? Let's start having that conversation. What does that conversation look like? I don't have our discussion mapped out, to be honest with you. I think the document will be a presentation from the consultant, and then we're going to have many meetings following up, like, how would that work? What is that? How does that look? We will find points to challenge the consultant, I'm sure. How does that really hold true? And what about that? Or I heard this. We're going to be testing that consultant out. So I think, we're going to be deep dive here 2 to 4 weeks where we're going to take that first jump off the cliff, if you will, into that report. What does that mean? But what I don't want, we shouldn't dictate the narrative because we don't really know it all just yet.
Right.
We have some anecdotal evidence that we could do this or that, but let's see what those costs are, the pros, the cons, to really get an understanding before we commit ourselves. That's all I'm asking at this point from everybody, even people in the community that are, I understand, really worked up about it. Just let's go through this, at least try with some open-mindedness when we jump into it to make sure it looks good.
So,
If I may, you're probably talking early March.
yeah, I think,
And then, like he said, from there, it's a work in progress. And
I
it's
think
going
that's
to take
what-
a great deal of time.
some of the people want to know because from our last few meetings, we've not even mentioned it at all. And so
Oh.
there's a wonder of, wait a minute, are they still even working on it? Do they understand how important this is? And
Oh, I can help you out on one of the reasons. Marshall and I were going over some of the numbers on the report, some of the financials, and we were comparing those to financials that we had already. And there were a number of questions that we had.
Good.
And there were some vast differences. Okay. So that's when we agreed that we needed to get a forensic accountant in to sit down with them meaning the Delray folks, and actually go through the books. And this goes back several years. And the reason that it's taking them so long is the people that prepared that data are no longer there.
Mhm.
And the ones that follow them are no longer there. The turnover has been immense, as we know at the top, but it's also been that we didn't know, and of course, there's no way we would have known, it's also been at the second and third levels as you go down. So just one stupid example, and I'll make it up. A number, $400,000 for XYZ in 2017. Well, what makes up the 400,000? Well, there's nobody there that can tell you. So they have to go back, they got to pull the data, and they got to try to figure it out. And we're not accepting it until they tell us what makes up the 400.
So for the residents that are watching or will watch in the videos, the point is, this is a serious project. It is something that has not disappeared, that it is coming, that we are on it, that it looks like March is when we're going to start the journey to go through and resolve.
But let me let me explain the importance of knowing what makes up the 400. One, we paid the 400. So first of all, I want to make sure we paid the
justify
proper
it.
amount, that the 400 wasn't really 350 and they owe us 50. That's one big reason. But the other big reason is if the 400 isn't real, then when we look at what is it going to cost us to run our own, it's not 400, it's 350.
Right.
So we have to know what those costs are for both reasons. So it's imperative that we get the forensic accountant to really give us hard numbers now for both reasons.
And that reinforces the point that we have no preconceived notions here.
No.
I mean, we're going to go into this looking at this objectively cold. I know I am because I haven't seen anything on either side of this forever. So this is serious. It's a journey. It's not a trivial exercise by any means, but it is going to get the due diligence and examination that it requires, as you already are detailing.
But I will commit, well, I shouldn't commit for Marshall, but if I'm off base, he'll stop me. We have a good enough relationship. What he gives us, he will have confidence in. He'll have confidence in that data.
Excellent.
And if I don't, I'll let you know I
And he'll
don't.
let us know.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
give you that, background that, hey, look at this, but
It's a little
I'm
sketchy.
a
here
little
and there.
sketchy at points A, B, and C.
Yeah, but when you see salaries going up, but you see FICA goes down, you say to yourself, wait a minute, something's not right here. Okay, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to ask those questions. So you've got to get reports that kind of make sense to you.
And
Okay,
it's coming at a time when.
but when you look at two different sources of data, so that's why it's taking a while.
And it's coming at a time when the town of Delray is going through so much turmoil.
Yeah, and that doesn't help our cause right
Oh,
now.
it's
So,
unbelievable.
but we'll get to it. We'll get it.
Nor does
John,
it
if
help
makes
their
you-
cause.
John, if it makes you feel any better, I've been asking for a look back since I was seated in about May of 2018, and then 2 years prior, sitting in these meetings just as a resident. So I've been on this 5 years, chomping at the bit.
Well, I'll tell you, I will not sign off on a bill
No.
unless I understand what makes up the
Exactly.
data.
We will do a great job,
I'm
I'm
not going to
sure.
do it.
I'm expecting we will.
And he won't either. So,
Right, with Marshall, right, we'll be fine. And Matt,
Second point, for the veterans out there, or if you know of a veteran, you should know that the VA in Palm Beach is handling veteran vaccinations extremely well. They're available, you can call them and you can get in there.
they have an
However,
office,
it
there's an
does-
office right here on Linton, you know.
Right, that's
That's
the
where
field
they go.
office, and it's, but it's not available for spouses of veterans. It's for veterans, whether they both are veterans, the spouse and whatnot. But it is available, it is, it's been effective, and I've gotten the feedback from several veterans of that. So just thought I'd reinforce that point.
Okay, anything else from anybody? Ready to sign off? 2:20.